Microphones can be divided into several categories. There can be all kinds of them, but let's just focus on three categories right now: condenser, dynamics, and ribbons. Dynamic microphones are the bargain of the microphone world. The Shure SM7B is one of the great vocal mics of all time. And it's a very affordable microphone. I've seen them used in the 300s, and I've seen them new below $5. They're great microphones. Michael Jackson did Thriller on one, so if it's good enough for Michael, you know. It comes with a bass roll-off, a mid-range enhancement button, and a pop filter. What a bargain. So that's a great microphone. Now, in that same family, Shure SM57 and 58 are identical microphones. Mostly the 58 has a pop filter, kind of little ball on the top. You see it a lot because dynamic mics are really good for suppressing feedback, so they work in live situations quite well. Another dynamic microphone I like an awful lot is the 441. It's that long, slender microphone by Sennheiser. You see Stevie Nicks using it from time to time. It's got a lot of roll-offs and a lot of great stuff. So one of the negative things about dynamic mics is they're a higher impedance. So when you get a long chord run of one, it acts like a big capacitor, and capacitor actually can roll off a lot of the high end. So you got to be real careful about those. But used correctly, they're great. They have this thing called proximity effect. So the closer you get, the more bass you get. Sometimes that works really good on a hip hop artist. Sometimes it works really good on a rocker. You see people moving closer to the mic and moving farther back. Well, that works on a dynamic. It doesn't work so much on a condenser mic. Condenser microphones tend to be the more expensive of the bunch. They require what we call phantom power, which is normally it's a 48-volt DC power supply to run. And what they do is the diaphragm, the thing that moves when you talk. You see it when you look at a microphone. It's about this big, and so it forms a capacitor inside the microphone. The diaphragm is one plate of the capacitor, and as that diaphragm vibrates, you know what? I'm not going to go into that. It doesn't matter. It's just a capacitor mic. They've been called all sorts of things, pressure microphones. But anyway, nowadays we call them condenser microphones. They're really great in Omni because there's no off axis. So like dynamics tend to be cardioids, and if you get a little bit off axis, the high end falls off. Whereas an Omni condenser microphone is a true sound. You've got to be in a good sounding room for them to be effective, but they tend to work great for vocalists that are moving around, and a dynamic not so much in terms of a singer moving around. A lot of times if I have a dynamic mic for a singer, I'll let them hand hold it. It follows them better that way. Now, condenser microphones, you have to be careful because they are a little touchy about the impedance. Now, we'll touch on that in a little bit, but think of it as two garden hoses where you're trying to put a garden hose that's got a large diameter into a garden hose that's got a small diameter. You can tell the water's not going to make it through. Well, that's what happens when you have an impedance mismatch. And on a condenser microphone, it manifests itself and maybe rolled off high end or some coloration to the sound that we don't like. Condenser microphones, a lot of people don't understand this, but when you have a tube condenser microphone like a U47, 251, those kind of mics, what the tube does is it's only in the amplifier section, so that the microphone catches the sound pressure, it converts that to a small electrical signal. Well, that signal is very low, so it has to be amped up, and that amping process is what the tubes do, and then that can go into the console or a mic pre or whatever, and that junction right there is very critical.